All right. Hello, everyone. I think we're live. I'm just gonna double check. Yes, we are. Fantastic. I love when things work right. Hello, everyone. I'm Allison. Pronouns are she, her. I'm the executive director of the Gallatin County Democrats. I am thrilled and honored to be joined this evening with Representative Alice Buckley, House District 63, who has joined us. And I just want to say it's so good to see you. Thank you for being here tonight.
It is so good to see you, Allison. It's really good to be back in the same space.
Yes. Yeah. So I know that your time is a little bit more limited tonight. So we're gonna stick with some questions that people sent us in advance. So just for those watching, you can send me questions before we have these conversations on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we'll get those answered. And then if we do have time, if you want to post a comment on this Facebook live stream, I'm watching and I'll try and get to it if we have time. But I
Yeah,
would,
and I would just sorry to jump in, Allison, just encourage you to still throw questions in there, and at the very least we can capture them and I can answer them on my social media, or Allison can figure out how to answer them.
awesome.
But we'll get to as many as we can.
Awesome. Cool. Hi, Beth. Thank you for joining us. All right. So my first question is, what are some bills that you're working on that you're excited about?
Yeah, that's it. It's hard to remember that we're even working on our own bills in the midst of all of the the madness. I'm working on a couple that will hopefully have hearings in the next week or two. One is a pretty simple statutory change to expand the rights of sexual assault survivors. I'm working on that with another young Republican legislator, and just feel really excited to be working on that issue and working with her. Another one that'll come down the pike is a campaign finance bill to allow parents to use campaign funds for childcare expenses. It's a part of my larger effort to expand accessibility and transparency to the legislative process and to the legislature. It feels really important. Bill has just passed through Utah and has now become law in a couple other states as well. So we'll see. And then just another highlight, I've been thinking a lot about childcare. That's an issue, of course, for our home community. And so I have a couple of bills I'm working on, but one is with Senator Sales, who's also out of the Gallatin County, a Republican senator. We're working on a child care task force that feels exciting. So a couple of those in the works. And then, oh my gosh, spending a lot of time just trying to keep my head above water with the bills that are coming through my two committees.
Yeah, absolutely. And a reminder, you're on which two committees?
Yeah, I'm on taxation, and then health and human services as well.
Okay. So kind of big ones. Those are big.
Those are big. They're
Yeah.
big. Yep.
Yeah.
Early mornings and late nights with those
Yeah.
two.
Yeah. Awesome. So I do have some questions, and I'm going to actually start with one that was kind of one of the last ones we got. But since you brought up that you're, working on some bills that are with Republican legislators, which is awesome because you did like campaign, you talked about that during your campaign about working with people from all political spectrums on on legislation. And so I would just love to know, like, how easy is that? How are you finding conversations with people who may not want to hear your ideas? And for context, I think this question really came out of the House floor session yesterday, or the committee, maybe it was
Mhm.
the floor when Representative
Mhm.
Keene from Butte was shut down, and his
Mhm.
sharing his story as a gun violence survivor on the House Bill 102 that unfortunately passed the House. And like, is there really opportunity for building common ground, right now?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I hear a couple of questions in that. I'll first just talk about my own experience and then talk a little bit about what happened on the House floor. I have I have found it to be easy, wonderful, and incredibly gratifying to build relationships, certainly across the aisle, but I mean, most importantly, with kind of anyone that I can in the House chamber and in the Senate for that matter as well. But I've found, despite some of our fears that no Democratic legislation or legislation brought by Democrats would move through, that actually, to the contrary, we're all 100 of us in the House, it seems like, are interested in moving good policy forward. We've heard bills from Republican legislators and Democratic legislators through committee and have moved many unanimously through committee and on the House floor as well, which feels really good. At a couple of conversations today where I was pitching some of my bill ideas and didn't get much enthusiasm, but have never gotten anything but respect, which is pretty amazing. We'll see how that continues on. So that's been really gratifying. I can speak a little bit later to just the challenges of navigating the public health situation in the Capitol. I've chosen to go in, and certainly does not feel safe to be in there, and yet it feels like it's really the only way for me to be effective, and I have been able to build relationships. And it's just hard. I mean, it feels like a privilege to be in there. I don't have underlying health conditions. I'm making that risk calculation for myself, but it's it 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 would be really hard to do that same thing if you were staying out. So it's just, I don't know, it's complicated. But I just wanted to kind of highlight how complicated that is for Democratic legislators at the moment. So it's interesting. I think yes, folks are willing to work. The supermajority of Republicans are willing to work with Democrats. On the other hand, I think what we saw on the House floor was an attempt to try to marginalize our voices, and I think to some extent too, just kind of test the boundaries a little bit about what that would look like. And I feel really proud of how we navigated that situation. And I think most importantly, we have each other's backs. We're going to continue to speak up, um, and we'll see. I mean, I think we did a good job of saying that's not how this session can go, actually. But we'll see moving forward.
Yeah. Well, I think, there's you said it you hit the nail on the head. It's complicated right now. It's just complicated. Talking about safety at the legislature, we've all been concerned about COVID safety and protocols and how that's, not been taken as seriously as many of us would like, as far as public health concerns go. Now there's, more concerns about like other safety concerns. The FBI has issued, a warning that there will be potential for, armed protesters at all 50 state capitals and in DC during the coming 6 days. And so I just was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what you are aware of as far as safety procedures. And I do believe that it's been increased. Security has been increased at the Capitol in Helena, but if there's anything else you wanted to add to that or had thoughts on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Allison. Yeah, I think we all are feeling a lot of sadness and fear for our country. I will speak just from my own perspective because I know the perspectives across our caucus are varied. But from my understanding, there will be protesters, potentially armed protesters at the Capitol this Sunday and next week. That being said, there haven't been any specific threats or specific plans that I know of. the Montana Highway Patrol, which is responsible for our security on the Capitol, is doing a really good job of being communicative and transparent with our leadership. So certainly not going anywhere near the Capitol on Sunday. And then next week, I am planning to go in, assuming that it's safe and nothing escalates. But certainly everyone's keeping a really maintaining vigilance, diligence, and just being really thoughtful. I think we'll, if things escalate, of course we'll keep folks safe. I think it's also really important to mention where I know that the Democratic Caucus has sent all of our staff home, so we're certainly prioritizing the safety of staff, and then leadership has just allowed folks to make decisions based on how safe they feel.
Okay, well, please be safe. I think I probably am speaking for a lot of people right now when, we're all concerned about any potential threat to anyone
Yep.
in any way. And, we just want what's in the best interest of
Yeah.
you and everyone who goes to the Capitol and, works there or, is a representative, senator, like, we're all concerned. I'm getting calls with concerns. I'm sure you are. I know other
Yep.
representatives are. So, we care and we care about you and your safety. So kind of shifting gears a little bit. One of the questions that came up was, how is the best way to, support you through contact? And the context is this, like, when we, know that you're going to be voting a particular way based on what bill is, being presented. So for example, House Bill 102, the gun bill, the concealed carry, we didn't have to, we were pretty confident that you were going to be voting no on that bill. But would it help for us to be letting you know that we are in support of that action? Like, does having a tally of support for, these good and bad bills help you in any way? Or does it just, clog your inbox and you only want to hear from us when it's something that, we need to talk about, or, if I'm phrasing that right?
Yeah, I love that question. I think we are getting a lot of communication from constituents, and it is certainly helpful to understand where constituents are. I think it's most compelling when someone reaches out and has a personal story to share. If you can imagine us in the hearing or in executive action when we're actually taking a vote on that, or even on the House floor to some extent, if there's an anecdote that we can bring in that's compelling, that's amazing. If it's simply a form letter or a vote, yes or no, that is less helpful. And what I would urge you to do instead of using your time that way is to use your time and be really focused on the legislators who might not be voting the way you are. There are many Gallatin County legislators, many Republicans who I think and I hope can be swayed by folks calling in and being really specific about their about what they have to say. So it's a long answer, Allison, but it's less helpful to just say, hey, vote yes on this, if we're already going to do that, and more helpful to say, to focus energy on the folks whose vote really matters, also to share a personal story. Also, it's incredibly compelling to have folks testify during our hearings, and you can do that from home, which is amazing. So that's another great use of time, and is exceptionally compelling, I think.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. That we definitely want to help people, get in tune with the schedule so that they know when to testify. Just anyone who doesn't know this yet, if you're listening right now, you need to request to participate as on Zoom for a hearing the day before the hearing by noon. So you have to actually submit that request. It's a short, quick form on the legislative website. We'll post that again, but you need to do it at noon the day before. So just keep that in mind. And you're right, like what an opportunity for us, across the state to not have to drive all the way to Helena to testify in front of a hearing, or testify in a hearing. Like that has never happened before, and we probably won't get that chance again. So let's take advantage of it.
Yeah.
So finally, any surprises or revelations that you've had because this is day 9 of the session, that, you weren't expecting going in, so far?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, every part of this has been surprising to me. It's been such a learning experience. I think a couple of things come to mind. I mean, one is I was going in and not really sure what the dynamic between Republicans and Democrats would look like, given the super majority Republicans have, given the fact that Republicans now control the House, the Senate, and the second floor, the governor's office. But it feels to me, and again on week 2 of this, that there is goodwill for bipartisan efforts, that we are interested in moving the state forward, that we're interested in working on issues that overlap, and that's amazing. That's what all we could have hoped for. That feels really good, and just I think the graciousness and respect that we all have for one another is surprising and really lovely as well. I've again been really reveling in forming new relationships. I think, oh my gosh, I mean, just the amount of learning and there's kind of really infinite amount of work to be done and learning to be done. And a good example is it's really hard to get a grasp on every single bill. And there's a bill coming up tomorrow that I don't support on giving tax exemptions to military pensions and bringing an amendment to try to make it a little bit better. So I'll vote, and this kind of gets to another question, but I'll vote no on the bill, but I will try to pass an amendment. That's a good example of how to, try to make things better, but then maybe not actually vote on the bill out of hearing, out of a committee. But that's a good one that was really hard for me to understand at first. And then I just spent an hour with someone explaining it to me. I was like, oh, I feel like I can really articulately speak on this tomorrow, and that's really empowering. And yet there's not time to just sink deep into the weeds on every single issue. So it's this beautiful challenge of prioritization, and it's fun. It feels really good. I feel completely honored to be representing our community. Just, yeah, such a responsibility, such a privilege. Feels really good.
Well, we are so grateful for your leadership, that you stepped up and you ran, and now you're serving people of Gallatin County and Montana, and we're just incredibly grateful to you for your leadership. And I love, I just have to say, I love your spirit, and I love how you are approaching this, and it's beautiful. And thank you for sharing your time with us. I know you need to go now. So there's some folks that asked some questions on Facebook that we didn't get to, but a couple of them I'll probably be able to answer written. So I'll do that after we're done. But again, Representative Buckley, thank you so much for being here tonight. Please take care, stay safe, and stay healthy.
Thanks, Allison. And send me those questions if you don't mind. That would be amazing. Cool. Great to see you.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone. Bye,
Bye.
y'all.